somebody, everything's wrestling. Somebody online did a little research.
Oh gosh.
And they found an interesting stat. Scott E. Wrestling says Jeff Jarrett has had more matches in AEW this year than Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, Takeshita, Jay White, Hangman Page, MJF, Christian Cage, Eddie Kingston, Chris Jericho, Sheeta, Britt Baker, Riho, and the Young Bucks. 7 of his 25 have been title matches. No, the more you know. Jeff Jarrett is the real MVP, or should we say EVP of AEW. More matches than all those guys. Wow, look at you. This wasn't even the original plan.
No.
You were supposed to be up there playing grab ass with Raphael Morphy. And look at you getting out there strutting ass, winning titles.
I ain't won no title. Let's not get
Whoa. You and I both know you won those tag titles.
Well, that's true.
And that two-timing
Aubrey
two-faced Aubrey Edwards, that's bad officiating. If we're gonna call out bad officiating, we gotta call it when we see it. Aubrey Edwards is the worst.
Only official worse than Aubrey is the Alabama officials from Saturday night in Tuscaloosa.
Hey, serious business. If I would have sat down with Jeff, week 2 of our podcast, here we are on episode 129, 127 weeks ago. If I would have sat down and said, Jeff, in 2023, you're going to wrestle more than 25 times, most of those being on TV, 7 of those being in title matches. Would you believe that?
I would have believed that less than what I believe today, that you're taking this, you want to go through on this bet after the shady outcome that happened. I'd believe that. No, Conrad, seriously. A Memphis Street fight, which we haven't even covered. Dave Brown.
Yeah, called the match. Unbelievable.
I mean, I definitely don't lose sight of that. Dave walked in.
Did you hear the commentary?
Of course not. No, I didn't.
Well, let me give you a line. Somebody, I think it was Kevin Kelly maybe, said, and everybody knows who the King of Memphis is. And Dave Brown goes, well, there's been 3.
Oh.
Right?
3?
3.
Okay, I want to hear this.
And he says one, and I forget. And then he says Elvis Presley. And then he says, and of course, and Nigel McGuinness cut him off and said, Jeff Jarrett. And Mr. Brown goes, well, that's not what I was going to say. I just thought it was tremendous that Nigel nope, we're not going to say that name on TV. Jeff Jarrett.
Wow.
Go back and watch the commentary.
I definitely will. Interesting.
Yeah.
But see, a street fight in Memphis. I'm just going to throw it in there. I did media all day in Memphis, and what a really cool day it was it just very,
your old stomping grounds.
Yes. We ended up driving my rental car because I said, I know where I'm going. Don't worry about it. I got this. We're going out here, all this. Got to go by Le Bonheur Hospital. I say that not just the technology. Seacrest Studios is in certain hospitals, Conrad. It's pretty cool. So got to go in the studio, and there was some patients there, some children there, and we laughed and cut up and that kind of stuff. But it's streamed to every hospital room in the hospital. And they have the ability, because Ryan Seacrest Foundation has these in multiple hospitals, that they just, it's the visits that you do now are just so different than you used to be, with just the technology and the games we played and the cutting up and all that kind of stuff. It was super cool. But where I was going with this was when I did all the media stops and talking about the history and all that. But then when you pull it around to tomorrow night, AEW Ticks, FedEx Forum, go all that. My opponent is Eddie Kingston. That story alone is such, my dad would have been so I mean, he would have made the fact. I mean, he'd probably got Eddie's mother on camera and saying, "Can we talk about how you rewarded your son, 10, 11, 12 years old?" Well, yeah, sure. Because what Eddie's mother did was, if Eddie was a good little boy, she let him watch Memphis's Bloodiest Brawls. That's the first VHS tape. So he loves Japanese wrestling, but he said, without question, Memphis wrestling and Japanese wrestling are what made him fall in love with this industry. So for Eddie being in the street fight, and me and Karen and obviously the history with the crew, but it was really a cool night, a page out of, well, you just said in 127 episodes would I've thought that if you would have wrote, hey man, going into episode 129, you're going to be in a street fight in Memphis against a guy who grew up on Memphis wrestling and all that. Just no, Conrad, I do not lose sight of it. I'm very grateful for the opportunity. Very.
What's amazing to me too is even if we would have thought, okay, I could see that, I think even you would have said maybe a few WWE matches, but if I'm doing that many matches, I'm probably doing some independent bookings. But if I would have doubled down and said, no, it'll be in AEW and you'll have more matches than Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, you would have been like, well, that's just not possible. But it's real. Jeff Jarrett, the real MVP of AEW, the more you know.